Hi guys, so in this video we will discuss about a short note which is the epiploic foramen, which is very commonly asked in the first prof exams. So in the previous video we discussed about the greater omentum and also somewhat about lesser sec. So here what I want to tell you is that what is epiploic foramen. The basic anatomy, its boundaries. Okay, so this is what is asked in the exams: the anatomy of the epiploic foramen and the boundaries, anterior, posterior, superior and the inferior boundary. Okay, so what is epiploic foramen? So epiploic foramen, it is called as a foramen of the Winslow and additus, or we can also call it as opening to the lesser sec. So why it is called as a foramen? It is because it is connecting something, and it is a kind of window. Okay, it is a kind of window which helps in communication of the lesser sec with the greater sec. Okay, so it is a vertical slit like opening through which the lesser sec communicates with the greater sec. So the lesser sec communicates with the greater sec with the help of this epiploic foramen. So what is the location? The level at which the epiploic foramen lies is the T12 vertebra. So at the level of the T12 vertebra, this epiploic foramen lies, and it is situated behind the right free margin of the lesser omentum. Okay, behind the right free margin of the lesser omentum. So through this line, by this line you can say that the structures which are lying in this right free margin of the lesser omentum, they are forming the anterior relation of this epiploic foramen, right? If not, then we will see it further also. Okay, now here we are coming towards the boundaries. So first I will tell you the boundaries with the help of this theory, with the help of these notes, and then I will take you to a diagram, that is the cross sectional diagram, transverse section also, and the longitudinal section also, through which you can completely understand the boundaries of the epiploic foramen. So epiploic foramen has four boundaries: first anterior, second posterior, third is superior boundary, and then the inferior boundary. So what is the anterior boundary? As I told you, anterior boundary is formed by the right free margin of the lesser omentum. Okay, so right free margin of the lesser omentum, it will form the anterior boundary of the epiploic foramen. So what does it contain? Many of you might be knowing already. It contains all these portal triad structures, right? So what are these? These are portal vein, proper hepatic artery, and the bile duct. So vein, artery and bile duct. Portal vein, proper hepatic artery and the bile duct. So these structures, along with the right free margin of the lesser omentum, they form the anterior boundary of this epiploic foramen. So what lies posteriorly? Posterior is very simple. A major vein, which is the, I will use a different color to mark this, a major vein called as the inferior vena cava, right suprarenal gland, and this T12 vertebra at the level of which it was lying, as already discussed. So these three structures, they will form the posterior boundary. We will also see the diagram of this. Now superior boundary is formed by the chordate process of the liver. Okay, so all these structures lie more or less very close to each other. So all these structures are forming the boundaries of the epiploic foramen. So superior boundary is formed by the chordate process of the liver. And what is the inferior boundary? So the inferior boundary is formed by the first part of the duodenum and the horizontal part of the hepatic artery. Okay, so this hepatic artery, which was forming the anterior content, it goes down and it also forms the inferior boundary of this epiploic foramen, that is the horizontal part of the hepatic artery and the first part of the duodenum. Okay, so first I will take you to this. Now I will take you to the diagram of this epiploic foramen, through which you can easily understand the relations of this. Okay, so these are the two diagrams of the epiploic foramen. First one is the transverse section and second one is the longitudinal section. So first, in the transverse section, what you can see is that this is something that is called as the epiploic foramen. So this area, which has been shaded in the pink color, it is the lesser sec, and this in the blue color, it's the greater sec. And this area is forming the connection between these two, lesser and the greater sec, right? So it is nothing but the epiploic foramen. As we already discussed, it forms a communication between the lesser and the greater sec. So what you can see is here anterior, and this is the posterior relation. So anterior relation, it is formed by the, this is what? This is right free margin of the lesser omentum. And what are the structures lying in it? This is just proper hepatic artery, this is the bile duct, and this is the portal vein. Okay, so proper hepatic artery, this is the bile duct, and this is the portal vein. Okay, and what is lying posteriorly? Here I can see the inferior vena cava, and I can see the right suprarenal gland. Okay, inferior vena cava, right suprarenal gland. Okay, now here I can see this longitudinal section of this epiploic foramen. Here you can see the superior and the inferior boundaries as well. Anterior and posterior, so we have already seen na. Here you can see anterior, posterior, as well as superior and the inferior. So superiorly you can see this caudate lobe of the liver. Okay, and inferiorly what you can see is, this is the hepatic artery which we learned. This is the horizontal part of the hepatic artery. So this is forming the inferior relation, and also this first part of the duodenum is forming the inferior relation, right? So now coming to this anterior relation. Anterior relation में क्या है? This is the bile duct, this is the proper hepatic artery, and this is the portal vein which is forming the anterior relation. And what is forming the posterior relation? It is the right suprarenal gland, and this is the T12 vertebra. Okay, so this is forming the posterior relation. So this is all about the epiploic foramen, its content, not contents, what it communicates with, and what are the different boundaries, and what are the structures with which it shares its boundaries with. So you can make these diagrams, you can draw these diagrams in your prof exams also and get good marks. And this was all about it. So thank you so much. Like and subscribe this channel as much as possible. Share it with your friends if it's helpful for you, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.